Welcome to Hair by Sonia, where hair transformation begins. Whether you're looking for a fresh cut, bold color, or a complete makeover, Sonia and her expert team have you covered. At Hair by Sonia, we believe every client deserves to feel confident and beautiful. That's why we use only the best products and techniques tailored just for you. From the moment you walk in, you'll experience personalized care and a relaxing atmosphere designed to pamper you. Our clients love their results. Just look at these amazing transformations. Join our family of satisfied clients and discover why Hair by Sonia is the go-to salon for your hair needs. Ready for a change? Book your appointment today and let us bring out the best in your hair. Hair by Sonia. Love your hair. Love yourself.
She say sports. She say sports. She say sports. She say sports. She say sports.
It's your girl Sonia, and welcome back to She Say Sports and our segment Legends of the Sipp. Please welcome back sports writer for New Orleans Advocate, my co-host Rod Walker, and please welcome this Mississippi legend, 2000 Olympian, 2007 Ole Miss Hall of Famer, and newly inducted Mississippi Sports Hall of Famer, Savante Stringfellow. Savante, how are you today?
I am doing great. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on today.
Absolutely.
Savante, how'd that feel? How'd that feel to hear her say that?
That was the first time I think I've been introduced that way. So, man, it kind of felt good. So
yeah, I mean,
I'll have to get used to hearing it that way. Yeah.
And plus but let's not forget he's also a Provine Ram. So I should have put that in there as well.
We'll get to it. We'll get to that. Yeah.
So Savante, let's get it right into it. And I always ask this question, and Rod knows this because I'm a little inquisitive and I just like to know how athletes get in certain sports. How does your love for sport begin?
Oh man, if we start at my uncle, was pretty much the first sports fan that I knew. So, just being around him, and it went from him to my aunts, to my uncles. If kind of coming up, if you said the name Stringfellow,
oh yeah,
we're going to be known for educators and athletes, and so just having those people growing up, especially my uncle, my aunt Brenda, my aunt Yolanda, they were Hall of Famers in their own right, so it was almost forced into it, and so from there, growing up where I grew up at, you had to play sports. You've had Cedric Donaldson on here. The Donaldsons grew up in my neighborhood. All of those guys, you had to be able to bring it.
Fred Smoot, he's been on the show.
Fred Smoot, yes. So just having a competitive nature, you had to play sports, and you had to excel, or they were going to let you know about it.
Oh yeah, that group of guys. First of all, I grew up with Cedric. He was in his mom's belly, so I've known him forever. But what's so funny to me about them, they will joan you if you
all day.
Oh, all day. No, literally, I'm gonna send you the text. I'm gonna send you a video. And Rod knows I was doing a show with Sid and Jamie, and I fell out of my chair because I sit on pillows. And when I said
pillows.
I'm sitting on like 5 now, and I'm trying to not move so it won't happen again. But yeah, they are tyrants. But I love them.
So just to let you know, if you fell off of your pillows, I won't be as bad as they are, but I may walk away from the camera and me and my son will have a laugh at it. Come here, let me show you what just happened.
Fair enough.
But no, just so everything around me was always sports. Everything was, just being competitive and bringing the most out of you. And I think that's where the drive came from.
Absolutely. So, Rod, I don't know if you want to jump in, but let me ask you this, Savante, because of the neighborhood that you grew up in and everything, were there like, were you running, y'all were having like races on the street? How did track and field, how did it all happen for you?
Let's see. I didn't have the best jump shot. So, and I was 160 pounds, so I didn't play football. But okay. I was a basketball player in high school. And we had a pretty good basketball team in its own right. We can talk about that later. But for me, I think it was my 11th grade year. And we had a dunk contest or something at school. And I dunked from the free throw line. So I remember the track coach, Coach Sherrod, was like, hey, you should come out and give track a shot. And didn't think much of it. So the first meet, forgot all about it. We were playing pickup in the gym. And somebody reminded me, hey, we have a track meet at 4. And I'm like, oh, crap. So left from the school, went over to Hughes Field right across the street. And first ever track meet I was in, I jumped 6'8" in the high jump. Still had on tennis shoes. So from there, it was almost all right, now you have to do this. This is just something else that, you're going to have to do. So took that challenge. And since then, it's been a second love for me.
Wow.
Hey, Sonya, he talks about his basketball. And I know he probably know what I'm about to bring up, but I don't even know how many years. That's probably been, I don't know if that was 97, 98. I don't know what year it was.
It was 97.
97. And when you told me that we were going to have Savante on here, I actually texted Todd Kelly. I was like, man, what's like the best dunks you remember in the state championship? Because I got one. I'm trying to see what other ones you remember. And we both remember Savante's dunk more than any of them. They were playing Lanier in the, I don't know, was it state championship or semifinals?
It was state championship.
It was championship game, yeah. And it was just an incredible dunk for somebody in high school. I mean, he just took off, went up with 2 hands. I think he got fouled on the play. And I can't remember.
You do remember that, yeah. I remember that.
I can't remember if he I don't know if he made the free throw or not, but
did not make the free throw.
It don't even matter. It don't even matter. 20 years
we
later.
Lost by 1 point. We lost by 1 point.
But I'm telling you, Sonny, out of every dunk that I've ever seen in the Coliseum at the state championship game, that's the one I remember the most. And it's the one that I think Todd Kelly remembers the most. And Todd's been doing it longer than me. So his time is a lot longer. And I mean, it was a very athletic play. Was that your junior year or senior year?
It was senior year.
Senior year, okay. Yeah.
I'm amazed because I did, the research, and Ron know our research. I didn't see anything about basketball. So because you were inducted through track. Did you continue you could play at Ole Miss, right?
I did. And the reason you may not have seen anything about basketball, because first of all, I had the Provine Posse, who ended up excelling at Ole Miss on that team. I also had Tommy Kelly, who was an NFL great on that team. So you had a bunch of people to overshadow little old me in basketball. So
it's really remarkable though when you think about the people he named himself and all those guys coming through the school at one time. That's pretty incredible run that Provine had there with those guys coming through at the same time.
We had some ballers, in everything over there as far as sports. It was truly an amazing thing to see. I guess if Coach Sherrod, and I love him, had he not told you to come and try out, would you? You weren't even thinking about track.
Never even thought about it. Never even thought about it. And again, just having people over there to identify something and to push you to something that's a little out of your comfort zone, and for them to see things that you don't even see for yourself at the time. I still go back and I remember the first couple years while I was at Ole Miss, I would always come home and go to Coach Sherrod's house. He lived around the corner from my uncle, and I would always make sure I went by and spoke to him.
That's amazing. Wow.
So what was your what were the, like when you practice long jump and high jump? I mean, what was it kind of like? Because I don't know what the facility was like, but did y'all have decent stuff to work with, or were you just kind of jumping in the front yard, or what was it like for you? Because I know how track in Mississippi is. I mean, a lot of people don't have the facilities.
Wait,
Especially at black schools.
You weren't at Oxford High School.
First of all, yeah. First of all, no one raked the pit at Hughes Field until it was time to jump. So you had ant beds and grass growing up everywhere. So as far as the high jump apron, there was a high jump apron, but there was a few times that there was a bar. And so you just kind of went through the motions. And I always remember this. Coach Sherrod would say, hey, don't worry about it. It's not here now. As you're back here, you have to visualize it. You have to visualize it. And even as I competed many years afterwards, that was still something that I would do at the beginning of any jump or run or whatever. I would stand at the back and just visualize it. So, yeah, we didn't have the best facilities. With that being said, Hughes Field has had a major renovation, and it looks great now. So, you've seen it?
Yeah, I try to go every homecoming. I try.
Yep, it's nice.
It looks really good. I'm still amazed. I got to move on, but I was just like, wow. So that's because you truly have a gift. It was just a gift, and you didn't even know you had it until Coach brought it out of you. That's amazing.
Yep.
Amazing. So Savante, let's move on to college. And as you have on your jersey, you attended Ole Miss, where as a sophomore, look at Rod, as a sophomore, you captured the long jump title to lead Ole Miss track and field teams at the SEC championship. You were the first Rebel to claim as an SEC title since Alonzo Banks won the 400 meters in 1996. Savante, you also only the second Rebel to win the long jump title, as former standout Ralph Fry took top honors in the long jump in 1983. Just a little bit more, which automatically qualified you for the NCAA championship in the long jump earlier that year. You were also an 8-time All-American, a 4-time NCAA indoor and outdoor. Savante, not only were you working and just taking command of this gift, you were breaking records. At that time, did you realize that what was going on around you? Did you realize what was happening?
So and I appreciate you bringing all of those things up. That takes me down memory lane. But you started with my sophomore year, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because my freshman year I almost quit.
Wow.
My freshman year, I didn't have any of those accolades. I didn't have any of the notoriety. And I remember SEC's that outdoor year at the University of Florida, I got 10th. And so I remember standing on the back of the fence and watching the rest of the competition. And I was like, yeah, you know what? This isn't for me. I'm transferring. I didn't know where I was going to go, Jackson State or wherever, but I just said, this isn't for me. And I remember talking to Coach Walker, who was inducted in the Hall of Fame a few years back. He asked me, have you committed everything that you can to this sport? You know, just like we've committed to you, have you made that same commitment? And I couldn't honestly say that I have. And so I went back to school the following year with the mindset of, hey, I belong here. I belong here. And so all of those cool things that you just mentioned, they didn't start after I won SECs. They started the SECs before that, when I was standing on the fence watching these guys embarrassed. Remember, we talked about where I came from, my family, who were all great at what they did, the people who I grew up with, who made sure that you were going to bring out your best. So that was the first time that I was losing, and that didn't feel good. So the first response is, hey, you know what? Forget it. Let's quit. But the real response in me came back and said, nah, I belong here. They're not better than me. But all of that came from work. I went back that following year and busted my butt. I went back and I made sure I worked as hard as anybody else. I made sure I worked as hard as my competitors, because we didn't have any other long jumpers. So I couldn't work as hard as the long jumpers on the team, but I knew who won that previous year.
Right.
I knew who was coming back. I knew who my competition was. So I made sure, I said to myself, they're not working harder than me. So, and again, it was a drive that I had, and I still push it to my boys. I push it to my girls. Just, are you doing everything that you can to get the results that you want?
Right.
So.
Wow. Rod, did you want to jump in? Or
yeah, I mean, just when you think back on that, man, I mean, does it kind of just tell you how thin the line is between those who make it and those who don't make it?
Absolutely. And there's a different definition of making it. I mean, we looked at, we'll talk about the Olympics for a second. We look at the 100-meter dash, where there was not even a 10th of a second between first and fifth place. So it's not only is it putting in the work, but being intentional about the work that you're putting in. That goes a long way. And success can be defined by thousands of a seconds, or in the long jump, a couple of inches.
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. So Savante, you were also at Ole Miss. I'm sorry?
No, we're going to talk about me again. I get a little bashful. Go ahead.
Hey, this is all about you today, bro.
Well, my gosh. So many great things, sir.
All right.
You were also at Ole Miss the same time as two-time Super Bowl champion and also a newly inducted Mississippi Sports Hall of Famer, Eli Manning. Did you know him personally at the time, and how was it being inducted with him the same year? How did that feel?
So I met him, I think my senior year. It was just in the weight room, and it was not a formal introduction. I kind of walked over, and he was like, "Hey, congratulations, good job." And I think this was right after Sydney, and that may have been the extent of the conversations that we've had. But at Ole Miss, always kept up with him. Always have been a huge fan. I remember when he beat Florida in Oxford, 2003 maybe. But Rob may not remember this, but we beat State almost every year. But but no, Eli was one of those guys who, it was something about him. He had an aura around him. In college, he kind of had this goofy kind of oh shucks kind of persona. As he continued to find success in the NFL, I think he commanded that confidence and the leadership of among his teammates. And so as I would see Eli just kind of on campus since then, you would start to see that in him. And told that story just to kind of talk about the growth. The person who we are 10, 15, 20 years ago is not the person who we're ultimately destined to become.
That's true.
And so, you know, just watching Eli, I don't think anybody thought Eli would be one of the best quarterbacks in his era when he first got to Ole Miss. And now, Rod, correct me if I'm wrong, next year is the first year he's eligible for the NFL Hall of Fame, right?
Right.
So just to be in this class with not only Eli, but Jimmy Smith, who is a huge Mississippi legend in his own right, should be in the NFL Hall of Fame. But just to go with and be inducted with great guys, I joked around with him. I said, man, you guys should be honored to be inducted in my class, but I'll share with you guys. So no, I think this was one of probably the most talented classes with those two guys going in, who should be NFL Hall of Famers by far.
Yeah. Who else in that class? Was Deweese in that class?
You had Deweese, who's the all-time winningest basketball coach in the country right now, active wins.
Becky Vest, Jimmy Webb.
You had who's another Provine alum. Jimmy Webb, who's a state guy, played with the 49ers, if I'm not mistaken. And we had our angler. I can't remember his name right now, but again, it was a very diverse class, but it was just from hanging out with those guys this past weekend, also a great, great group of people.
That's awesome. So go ahead, Rod. I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad, you were able to get your flowers while you can. Cause I remember when I left Jackson, I was just kind of looking at the Hall of Fame class, and this is back in 2013 or something. And Calvin Smith, who was a sprinter from Bolton, he wasn't in there, and I just thought it was absurd he wasn't in there. And at the time, I didn't know the process, so I talked to I think I called Rick Cleveland, who was in charge of the Hall of Fame at the time, and just asked him, like, "Hey, what's the process like?" And he kind of talked me through it, and Calvin ended up getting inducted. But I know a lot of times, not just track guys, but a lot of times some of these black athletes they slip through the cracks or just don't get in for whatever reason. So, just props to you, man, for getting in there at an age when your kids can see it, and you're.
I'll say this, Rod. You talk about the process and just learning that process. I think a lot of great athletes, especially around here, may not be willing to go through the work and
Right.
go through that process. So
Right.
that's definitely something that, though I'm going to be an advocate for some of these guys who were great, whether it's high school, whether it's, at the junior college level, but had an amazing talent that stood out.
Right.
So I definitely going to be an advocate for that.
Yeah. Because Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, he's like the one guy who, if I don't do anything else before I leave this earth, I'm getting him.
And that makes absolutely no sense. That makes no sense.
Right.
It makes no sense.
Right.
And he's been on the show before. And when I say I was a fan, well, Rod too, because we're older than you, but I was at Provine when he was Chris Jackson on the coast. So I've been watching this dude play, and I had never seen nothing like that in person in my life. Definitely a shame that he is not. It's all the politics, but I hope somebody wakes up and do what's right, because
I'll go out on a limb and say he'll be soon.
Yeah.
Well, good.
I'll go out on a limb.
That's good.
Hey, Savante,
I'm
obviously your oldest son understands, but do your younger kids, and I'm not even sure how young they are, but do they understand like what the Hall of Fame is, and do they get the magnitude of it?
So outside of Kennedy, you got Landon and Jalen. Landon's 15, Jalen's 16. So dads can be a little embarrassed by stuff that they do. So we can go places and, somebody will say something to me or, hey, especially a track meet.
Right.
And I don't think they understand the magnitude up until this year. I think they knew that, okay, you used to run track back in the day. Okay. Oh, you were at the Olympics? Okay, cool. But just for all of this to kind of come up and they see the magnitude of what this means, I think it's starting to hit home from now. With Kennedy, I wanted Kennedy to be a part of the process because he has these same aspirations that I have. And so whether it's an interview that we're doing or, we get to the Hall of Fame ceremonies a little earlier just to take it all in and we talk about that, that's important to me. So, because it's something that, again, he inspired for, and he has kind of the same work ethic and same determination that I have.
And I'm going to get to Kennedy in a minute, but before we move on from the Hall of Fame, did you, when you found out, what were your thoughts about it? Like, was it finally, or did you?
I got to say this on air.
How did you receive the message, the information?
I got to say this on air. I got to tell this story on air. First of all, like most Black people, we get an unknown number we're not going to answer. So I was driving home and I got this unknown number come across and I'm like, I'm not answering this. I'm like, well, let me answer it. And it was Bill Blackwell. And he said, Savante, hey, good to talk to you, Bill Blackwell from the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame. Want to congratulate you. You're going to be inducted in our 2024 class. And I got quiet for a while, and I was on 220. And I got off at the Northside Drive exit, turned into Highland Village, and just let it soak in. We let things soak in different ways, but I just kind of let it soak in. And I'm a proud person. I have thought that I should have been in the Hall of Fame, but I also know, like you guys mentioned, guys like Chris Jackson, Jimmy Smith at the time, they're also guys who also deserve to be there. So just when I got that phone call and the joy that just came over me, it was one of those moments that I immediately just went back to playing football at my grandmother's house and to competing at the Olympics, and it just came full circle. So yeah, Bill will tell you I got quiet probably for a minute and just deep breath.
Yeah.
So, but again, just to get that call, that was pretty amazing.
Awesome.
It's one of those honors, man. They could never take away from you. Just like being an Olympian. I mean, it's with you forever. Yep. So I mean that adds to it. Just
yep.
So Savante, as you mentioned, in 2000 you were selected for the USA Olympic team. What an honor and congratulations. I mean, not only were you representing Jackson, Provine, your neighborhood, Mississippi, you representing the United States. What was that like? And because you were still in college, correct? How did that feel to be part of the Olympic team?
Gosh, man, so much of it just was you live in the moment, because I mean, I was a junior in college, and even when I left to go to Sacramento for the trials, yeah, while I thought I could compete well, I never thought that, man, what happens after this competition is over?
Yeah.
And again, just going through that, I don't know if it was Rod or somebody else. You know, I got back to my apartment at campus, and somebody from the Clarion Ledger called, and you know, we did a story, and it went into the paper. And oh my gosh, it seems like I had a million friends all over again. My phone blew up, and everybody had a story. I remember you from back here. I remember this. I remember that.
Wow.
And but for me, it was almost exactly like you said. I got a chance to represent my family. I got a chance to represent, you know, Poindexter Elementary School, Blackburn, Provine.
I didn't know you.
See?
You went to Blackburn?
I did.
I went to Blackburn.
Okay. So I had an opportunity to represent all of those schools in West Jackson, and to now I get to go to Australia, Sydney, Australia, and be a product of my neighborhood, and a product of the Stringfellow name, a product of Provine, Ole Miss. So you can't put that into words. And even at 20, when I went, it never hit. It never hit until I remember being in the stadium the day that I jumped, and found my mom in the stands. And just when you see that, it took everything not to become overwhelmed at the time, because I'm like, this is mom. This is, you know, she did everything she could to raise us and you know, do it the right way. And then just to go and be able to see her and make her proud. I don't think there's much that can duplicate that, other than this past Saturday when, you know, get a chance to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
So I'll tell you, when you watch the Olympics now, especially like the opening ceremony, does it bring all that back to you? Like, you got to be reliving it,
man. Yeah, it's and it goes back. The coolest thing about opening ceremony is 2 hours before it starts, when everybody's lined up. And I remember, I still see it on social media with some of the athletes, where you get basketball guys meet track guys, and swimmers meet, you know, some of the basketball players. And, you know, at the time with me, got a chance to meet Kevin Garnett, Jason Kidd, you know, some of the basketball players there, Venus Williams, Serena, who they were not the nicest people at the time, but but again, just for the greatest in the world to be able to mingle with the greatest in the world, it's pretty cool.
That's so dope.
It's pretty cool. And yeah, the only request my mom asked for me was to get Venus and Serena's autographs. And so I got it. Okay. They still, I think they still was a little mean to me, but I got it.
Well, you know, some more accolades. You also won the U.S. National Championship in men's long jump, the IAAF World Continental Cup in long jump, and World Indoor Champion in men's long jump. What an amazing career, Savante. I mean, like you said, coming from the West Side, representing your family, your schools. I mean, it's an honor. It is truly, and I'm tripping because you weren't even in track and field. It
11th
happened
grade.
on you. That's amazing to me. I mean, congratulations.
So I say this. When we talk about being inducted into the Hall of Fame as a track athlete. Oh no, I still give props to playing football in the neighborhood and playing at Blackburn and basketball, and because right now everybody wants to specialize. I'm gonna go play baseball, I'm gonna get my coach, I'm gonna get this, and it's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do football. But man, being well-rounded and just having the ability to do multiple sports, because I think every sport can kind of feed off another sport. That makes sense. And so when we go out and explore those things, if I would have never just took Coach Sherrod's offer to come out and jump, I still would have been, shooting my broke jumper, trying to go play college basketball somewhere, or broken up somewhere playing football. I actually think I could have made it to the NFL if I would have kept playing football. But again, who knew at the time?
Who knew?
But I know I could have been a football. If you ask Cedric or any other Donaldson, they will tell you I could have played football. I could have been in the NFL.
I'm gonna ask him. And he gonna tell me.
He will tell you the truth. Yes.
So, go ahead. Were you about to say something, Ryan?
Go ahead.
I know all of the accolades and the accomplishments you made was an honor, but your biggest honor is being a father to your 3 boys and your 2 girls. And one of your children is following in your footsteps, pun intended. Kennedy.
Big shoes.
Kennedy Stringfellow is a long jumper. While at Brandon High School, Brandon High School, Kennedy broke the Mississippi High School record in the 6A state championship. He also broke the Brandon record in the 200 meter and won gold in the long jump 200 meter and the 4x200 meter relay. Now, are your other kids, are they playing sports as well? And is he the only one doing track and field?
So my son Jalen, he's gonna be on the basketball team at Pearl this year. Pretty good athlete. Then my youngest son Landon, he's a swimmer. He's actually been to the state meet in swimming since 8th grade. So while different sports, they make a name for themselves individually. So again, it goes back to just that family lineage. And
correct.
We're going to find something, we're going to excel in it, and we're going to have fun doing it.
So when did you know Kennedy had that it factor? When did you know he had the it factor to pursue track and field?
When he decided he wanted to be good at it.
I love it.
That's just as simple as that.
Because that's when you decided that's when
absolutely. And for him, it was 8th grade. And kind of like myself, it started in a hurdle race. And he ended up winning his hurdle race. And from there, I never wanted to coach any of my kids in the long jump because I knew, and I've coached kids since 2008, because I knew what kind of coach I was going to be, especially for my kid. And he went to 9th grade practice, and his coach told him that they needed to get some extra points in the pole vault, so he was going to be a pole vaulter. And I was like, "You're not going to pole vault." I said, "You can tell them tomorrow, or I'll come and tell them tomorrow. Tell them to try you out in the long jump." And kind of started there. Realized high school track and field doesn't have the personnel a lot of times that a lot of other states have. So for him to succeed, I stepped in and not only worked with him, but some of the other kids at the high school. And Brandon has had a exceptionally great high school track team. So that whole time he was there, top 5 in the state for the team. But each year Kennedy got better and better and better. His 10th grade year, he didn't qualify for state. But since I always worked the state meet, he wanted to stay home I said, nope, you're going to come to the track with me. I'm normally an official. You're going to work with me as an official, and you're going to watch the long jump. We're going to watch it together. And he hated it because he watched guys that he beat all year, but he had a bad meet. So came back his junior year, he got second. And his senior year, what we did was we had, I think you guys may call them vision boards, but we planned. We wrote down 4 goals. I think you've named all 4 of them. We wrote down school record in the 200, school record in the long jump, state champ, and state of Mississippi record holder.
Wow.
And his very last jump at the very last meet, he broke the state record. So, and again, it goes back to visualizing those goals and working towards them. My son Landon, swimmer, same thing. We're at the end of the year, what do you want this year to be? All right. Are you working towards those things now? And you know what that leaves out? Sonia, Rod, you know what that leaves out? I didn't blame a coach, not one time.
Sure did.
I didn't blame a teammate. Somebody didn't give me the ball. Somebody didn't do this. I didn't blame somebody didn't like me. All of that stuff goes back to what are you willing to do? What work are you willing to put into it? And so much now, I see kids, and the first thing we do is we let them give us an excuse. We're the grown-ups. We're the grown-ups.
That's right.
We let them give us an excuse, and we roll with it. I ain't nowhere in the world I could have gave Felicia an excuse of why I didn't do something. Ain't gonna happen. But we allow that now, and that fine line of being good versus great is when those excuses don't even matter.
That's true.
Eliminate those excuses. So I coach kids. I'm going to start back this year. I hadn't done it in a couple of years with Kennedy, but I'm going to start back this year. And one of the first things I let them know is I start on time and I don't accept excuses.
Period.
If we practice at 2, you're here at 2:05, I'm already at home.
Yeah. Hey, what was it like for you just because I mean you kind of mentioned, but coaching your kid can be a little different, and especially coaching your kid who is following in the footsteps of somebody who was great at it. I mean, how did you kind of let them know that, hey, you ain't got to beat me, but I mean, just how'd you balance that?
That's what I told him. I said, you won't be able to beat me. I would hold up my shoe at times and say, you got big shoes to fill. I would go and tell him, here's what I did, here's what I did, here's what I did. And you know what he did? He beat all of that. I would go and tell him that, and because I knew his mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew what pushed him. Just like my coach knew what pushed me.
Right.
And I could throw out certain things like that. And there's never been a time where he would say, you know what? Forget this. I don't want to do this anymore. It pushed him every single time. And so that's what made that fun. That was the reason I didn't want to coach him, because I was worried when I push what happens. But he pushed back just as hard. And he asked questions. I challenge him to this day with his coaches now. If there's something you don't understand, ask questions. Ask questions. If you don't get the answer you want, ask it another way. But if you understand it, that's going to get you to the next level. But I also told him that doesn't apply for track. That applies, you got a professor, ask a question. Doesn't make sense? Ask it another way. Ask it another way. But understanding and communication and understanding is a lost art form. A lot of times we don't understand something. The first thing we're going to do is cut off communications. But that's where we lose understanding. So that's something my kids tell you to this day. I'm going to always talk about, hey, how did that communicate? How did you communicate that? Did you tell me this? Well, I thought you knew. Why did you think that? And so with Kennedy, with Landon, with Jalen, with Bailey, with Mackenzie, ask questions, especially when it's uncomfortable. Because we get uncomfortable, we walk the other way. Ask those questions when it gets uncomfortable.
That's true.
What was that? No.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask you, what was that when you watched his final jump of his high school career? And I guess you knew that was his final jump when it was as he coming down the runway or whatever. And then you saw what he did. I mean, well, just kind of talk me through that whole 10 seconds.
I can talk you through it, but I think the best way to understand is go find it on Facebook. Oh my gosh, it was. I think I jumped over the fence, then jumped back over the fence, and it was because it was so much of what he worked for. It was so much of doing approaches over and over and over, and just watching him compete. Because the guy who he beat was the same guy who beat him the previous year on his last jump.
Wow.
Did you know he had broken the record like as soon as you saw it?
Oh yeah.
I mean, okay.
Oh yeah. I threw my hands up and I remember saying 25 wood, and it was 25-4. And again, that was and to do it in front of Coach Woods at Mississippi State, to do it in front of his friends and family, and that made it more special because again, they saw the process. They knew how hard he worked and to be rewarded for it. And again, when I saw it, I can tell when he's coming down the runway, I'm like, yep, that's it. And I'm not being LeBron where I'm going back and just say, I remember when this happened. But I remember watching down the runway. I'm like, yep, that's it. That's it. Didn't know if it was the state record, but I knew going down the runway, it was a good one.
Yeah.
How long do you think that record's going to stick around?
Oh, man, these kids now, man, they're getting bigger, stronger, and faster. 5-10 years. It depends on if I find some kids that I'm going to develop them, that they'll do it. These kids are getting a lot more, not only faster and stronger, but they're becoming smarter, man. They can go and find a YouTube video and just watch that and dissect that. And now they may not want to hear what we have to say, but they'll go and watch that video and put those things in place. So
one more question about Kennedy from me. How was it not only being his father, but being his coach, and also during your time as his coach, how much did it deepen your relationship with him, your bond with him as father and son?
Yes and no, because there will be times where I was intentional about separating that. We at the track, and I'm going to be coach, and I'm going to be a little tough. Then we get in the car. Hey, what are we going to eat? Hey, let's go do this, that, or a third. And at most of his practice, his brothers are out there with him. So, it's all right. We just spent an hour with Kennedy jumping, and I would have them doing something. But the thing I was intentional about is, all right, let's separate the two. We just finished this part of it. Hey, what are we going to go and eat? Hey, let's go do something else. So I wanted to be coach, and I wanted to be dad, and be crazy not to say that those two cross the lines at times. But at the end of the day, it was just part of the role that I had. And I appreciate that. I appreciate him allowing it, because I'm sure he could have been like, you know what, dude, I'll just go and work with my high school coach. And that would have been fine. But the hardest thing about that was knowing after that last high school meet, that was probably going to be the last time I get to coach him.
Yeah.
And so I think he's in good hands now. Mississippi State was very well represented in the Olympics this year. So I think that speaks well of their coaching staff. So I trust that he's in good hands.
Do you have a cowbell back there or not? That's what I want to know.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I bought him his first cowbell, but I do not own a cowbell. The first game we watched together after he signed, and he brought that darn cowbell home. It was the most annoying thing ever.
I got a question. I bought my roommate and I, my freshman year, we bought a cowbell together because we didn't have no money back then. And it's probably like $30. We spent $15 a piece on it.
I didn't realize they were so expensive.
Wow, wait a minute, they were $30 then?
$30.
I
It
think
might
they're
have been
50 now.
20. It might have been $20, but whatever it was, we went half and half on it, and I still have it. And he still like mess with me because I'm the one who kept it. He got like several now, but that's the only one I got. So anyway, go ahead, Sonny.
No, I thought you had one more question for him.
I got a question.
We got some questions for you at the end, I think, don't we, Sonny?
Yeah, well, I'll do it. I thought you were gonna do it.
No, go ahead.
I don't think I'm liking this.
No, it's not bad, man. Well, you can go. What were you going to ask? You're going to ask yours, and I'll.
No, the Mississippi State Ole Miss question that I mentioned to you earlier.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just what was that? What was that kind of like for you? I mean, because I know you. Yeah, him choosing state. Just knowing, and like, did you hear any? Did you hear any stuff from Ole Miss people about that?
Of course. That decision, man, it was actually a lot easier to accept than I think most people think about it. He's been around Ole Miss his whole life.
Right.
And I think for him, I think it was making a name for himself, having a clean slate. I don't think there was ever a time where he would go to Oxford and somebody would ask him about his dad's record or his dad this, or are you going to do? And I think he wanted to just kind of get away from that and be his own dude.
Right.
And so I remember before his visit, we left Thursday afternoon, and I remember asking, hey, all right, we just came from Houston and met with Carl Lewis. We went to Arizona, these other visits. And so the state visit came up, and like most sensible people, I didn't think anybody would really want to go to state. So I was like, all right, are you just doing this just to get a trip in, or are you really taking this? Are you serious? I said, because if you're just going to get a trip in, hey, I'll stay at home and you just go and enjoy yourself. And he said, no, I'm really serious about it. Okay, cool. But there's a good part to this. But when I got there and I met the coaches and I got to meet some of the academic counselors and the athletic staff and the tutors and just actually see that, I really fell in love with the program and the commitment that they had for not just my kid, but the other kids that look like them. You have the head coach, the assistant coach. I'm going to say young because I'm older, but young Black men who their intent is to raise good Black men and women and be productive people in society. And I remember the first couple of weeks, he would text me. It's like, all right, Kenny didn't know if he got a 9 o'clock class, he can't be out till 1:30. And I'm like, how do you know that? But again, they make it their point to know where their kids are and to look out for their kids. So once I saw that, and once I realized that it was important to look out for these kids who are away from home, I have all the respect in the world for the athletic program and the coaches up in Starkville. Is that what it's called? Starkville. Okay, gotcha. Kind of it hurts to say sometimes, but the brown team, is it brown or not khaki? It's not khaki. It's maroon.
Khaki.
All right, that's enough, man. You really. Yeah, it's kind of funny. You talk about him making a name for himself, and having your last name. I mean, it's y'all's name is unique. Whenever I see a Stringfellow, and I haven't seen many, but I always ask, are you related to Stringfellows in Mississippi? But yeah, I mean, just good people, son. Every Stringfellow I know, from Eric to Savante to Courtney to Yolanda to Erica, Keisha.
All of them.
I hope I ain't leave anybody out, but those are the ones
I think you got most of them.
Yeah, so I mean, just
a lot of them. Yeah, great people, really, really good people. Last question. What advice would you give a child? And I was just gonna say that wanted to make a career in track and field, but I'm gonna say any sport. What advice would you give a child that wants to make a career in sport?
Have a backup plan. Sports are not promised. I have 2 knee injuries that could have happened. If they would have happened earlier, I probably wouldn't be where I was, but have a backup plan. Second, be a student of whatever sport you're looking at. Know what it takes to excel at the middle school level, at the high school level, at the college level. Know what it's going to take to get into college at this sport. Do multiple sports, man. Do multiple sports. I can't stress that enough to just try out different sports. But last and least and most important, have fun doing it. Have fun, man. It's people like us. It's the grown-ups who take the fun out of sports a lot of times because we didn't do something and we's trying to relive something in our kids, and that takes the fun out of it. I've seen parents bring kids to me and they want to run track, and the kid's like, "No, I don't want to run track." But and again, I can tell when I see that, but man, if you're not having fun doing it, stop.
Didn't do it.
Stop.
You're right.
That's the
Savante, do you think
advice I would give.
Do you think in track that you have to have more of a want to than most sports? Because it's not as glamorous as football as far as on the high school. You know, like I remember when I was in high school, like we didn't really even. You might know the people on the track team, you might not.
You may go to track practice. You may go to track practice. You might not. You might go to the meet. You might not. And that's the thing about track. First and foremost, you want to. And if you want to and you put forth that effort, you way past any other sport. Because think about what track is, right? The whole sport is running.
Right. The one thing you don't want to do in any sport.
It's everybody else's punishment. So it's running. And so from a mental standpoint, track guys are going to have a different mentality than anything else. We're the only sport in Rod. We can talk about the Saints, but I think Alvin Kamara was out of camp at practice today. I think I saw you post that on X. So he may have been 80%. If I'm 80%, I'm not going to even line up for a track event. If I'm 85, 90%, track, you have to be at your best all the time. And what if that. Huh?
What if you had COVID and you got to run at 200?
You shouldn't go to the closing ceremony party 2 nights after that. This guy, but yeah, he's
right.
No allowed. Yeah, he's a little annoying.
I didn't call him names. I just
I'm calling his name.
A scenario.
I'm calling his name. Noah's probably the most annoying athlete out right now. Hell of a talent, but he's probably the most annoying athlete in the world right now.
Because of the COVID, because of what happened with
I've been following Noah
overall
for years. He's just annoying. He's yeah. All right. I don't want to go viral with these comments, but yeah.
That'll be great for the show. So
I bet it will.
Savante, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for joining us today. I mean, this was really educational. Again, I had no clue you did not start running track till your senior year. However, we play a little game called What You Know. And what this is, Rod was my guinea pig because I used to have another game, and he did really, really well. We're going to do track and field trivia. Something you know. If you don't know it, it's okay. It's no big deal. We're human.
Where's my shirt? I should have worn my shirt that said, I could be wrong, but I doubt it. But
you know what? And that's okay. So let's get into it. And I know you know this. How many members make up a relay team in a track and field relay race?
So it depends. Are we talking about alternates? Because on the alternates you have up to 6, but if it's just a regular relay, we're gonna go 4.
Correct. We're just gonna go 4. The 1995 outdoor U.S. Track and Field Championship men's 400-meter run was won by who?
95.
Steve Scott, Donovan Bailey, Karen Clement, or Michael Johnson?
Yeah, it's Michael Johnson. A couple of those people didn't even run the 400. So, I mean, why was I going to say that?
Hey, I just got it up in here.
I didn't know that was funny. I didn't know that.
Who's broke
Well-
Bob Neiman's long jump record? Was it Michael Powell, Jesse Owens, Leroy Burrow, or Carl Lewis?
So I'm going to go back, and before we talked about Kennedy a little bit, before his state championship meet, he actually had a phone call with the right answer to that question. So I reached out to Mike Powell, and I said, hey, my son's jumping tomorrow, give him a few encouraging words. And he had a conversation with Mike Powell before that competition. So Mike Powell's the answer.
You better name drop. I love it.
He ain't just
Okay.
giving you that. He ain't giving you just the answers. He's giving you a story
Baby.
with it.
I used to love Who Wants to Be a Millionaire because they would never just answer the question.
I know they would never answer. They'd be like, so well.
Just go.
I love cheese.
Right.
Mozzarella.
So all my answers are gonna be like that. So let's go.
Okay, I love it. Which of these events is an event in the traditional track and field decathlon? The 400-meter run, the triple jump, 800-meter run, or the hammer throw?
So the 800-meter run, that's in the heptathlete that the women's do. That's their 7 events. The triple jump, I think that'll be a lot of strain on a person who's doing 10 events. The hammer throw, just so technical, so I don't think the hammer throw will be there. So on that one, I'm going to go with the 400-meter run.
Correct.
Yes.
I love it. How were the American track stars Florence Griffin Joyner and Jackie Joyner Kersey related? Were they mother and daughter, sisters, cousins, or sister-in-law?
So this is the $1 million question. So I think somebody married Bobby. So I'm gonna go with D on that one. I think they also went to the same nail technician.
Could be.
Don't quote me on that one, but yeah, we're gonna go with sister-in-law and
Sister-in-law. That
There
is
you go.
correct.
I did know that one too.
that was a little tough. I was worried I was gonna get that one wrong.
Which team topped the medal standings in track and field at the 1999 Pan American Games? Was it USA, Canada, Brazil, or Cuba?
1999. That was in Winnipeg. I was actually there. But I left a little early. Actually, the weather in Winnipeg was really nice at that time of year. I thought Canada was super cold, but it was really nice and comfortable. Can I phone a friend? If my son was here, I would have we had told I would say Google, but he's gone. So I'm gonna go with the U.S.
Brazil.
Oh, yeah, I had no idea. Pan Am Games? Brazil?
Pan Am, 1999.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Who is the only female to run under 22 seconds in the indoor 200 meters during the 20th century? Was it Marion Jones, FloJo, Merlene Ottey, or Irina Privolova?
In the 20th century, so that's the 1900s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Indoor?
Yes, indoor 200 meters.
Marion, I don't think she did a lot of 200. And if she did, I think her times would be voided from the whole Balco situation. Who else did you say?
Merlene Ottey, FloJo, or Irina Privolova?
I want to say Merlene Ottey, but I'm going to go with FloJo.
No, you should have stayed with Merlene.
I knew Merlene, yes. I thought it was her, but I didn't think you would ask two questions in a row where it wasn't an American person or America wasn't the answer. So you got me.
He outsmarted himself on that one.
Look, Rod, I was just copying and pasting the ones I like. Which American won the silver medal in the 60 meters hurdle for men at the World Indoor Championships of 1999? Was it Dwayne Ross, Terry Dees, Alan Johnson, or Reggie Torian?
Yeah, now the questions just got hard. Ross, he's the head coach at Tennessee now. I don't think it was him. Alan normally wins these things, but actually Terrence Trammell won that one. So I'm gonna go Alan Johnson. Alan Johnson.
Reggie Torian.
Have no idea who that is.
I don't know. Me either. I don't know these people.
So these are like the hardest questions you've ever asked.
And I'm out of wine.
But you know what? But guess what, Ron? I never gave you ABC choices. You had to just
look.
Mine wasn't this hard. You go into, you're not even doing like a list.
He asked for silver. He said silver.
But look, again, he has done really, really well. So let's keep going. I know he'll get this one. What are the poles that hold up and measure how high the bar is in the high jump event called? Is it measures, standards, bars, or poles?
So at Provine, we just called them those poles that hold up the poles. So
my GPS.
we had no idea that they were called standards.
Right. I
jump standards. Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Hey, go get them poles that hold up the high jump poles.
Exactly. I mean, I didn't know until today. Two more. Which of the following men were not on the world record outdoor 4x200 meter relay team, which set the record in 1994? Was it Carl Lewis, Mike Marsh, Floyd Hurd, or Jerome Young?
So who wasn't on that team?
Which of the following men were not on the world record outdoor 4x200 meter relay team, which set the record in 1994?
Jerome Young, he competed with me, so I don't know if he would have been on that team. You said Carl, he's gonna be there. Marsh, did you say Marsh?
Mm-hmm. Mike Marsh and Floyd Hurd.
All of them was on it. It's gonna be Jerome Young.
Correct.
Another thing about them, one fun fact about them, they were actually all part of the Santa Monica Track Club that trained in Santa Monica, who were coached by, it was one of my coaches, disregard, but yeah, Santa Monica Track Club. 1994, I think that was in St. Louis. I don't know if it's St. Louis, but I'm going to say it with confidence, so it's going to be with confidence.
We're going to be like, yeah.
Last one. Who was a 6-time All-American, most valuable at the time, 1999 SEC Outdoor Long Jump Champion, 6-time SEC runner-up, and a 2-time Penn Relays champion in the 4x400 meter relay, 1999, and long jump 2001. Who was it? Okay. Okay. I love it. It's kind of a big deal. Savante Stringfellow.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. Thank you so much. Tell the listeners how they can follow you on social media.
I'm easy. Savante S on Instagram. What's the other one? You got X and you got Thread. So, but Savante S and I enjoyed it. There's I want to do another show where we can talk about the Saints and the Pelicans. I think the Pelicans had a really great offseason. The Saints have been disappointed. I'm interested in seeing what Spencer Rattler's going to do. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not just a track.
You down, Rod?
I'm down with it.
Okay. We just got to make sure we keep it so he won't lose his good job. So, yeah. Rod knows I follow the rules when it comes to his job. Okay.
He knows I follow the rules. There was a time I went to a game and I couldn't wear my favorite player's jersey. So, but yeah.
Which game was that? Who'd you go see?
Kawhi.
Okay, yeah.
I think he may have played a quarter and a half.
Was that was Toronto or Clippers or who's he with then?
Spurs. That was Spurs.
That was Spurs.
That was
Wow, okay.
back. Yeah. That was when AD didn't finish the game nor Kawhi.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow. Rod, tell the listeners how they can follow you on social media as well as read your articles with New Orleans Advocate.
On X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, it's just Rod Walker NOLA. And the stories can be found on NOLA.com.
Okay.
And
Hey guys,
before I just want to, just props to you again, Savante, for Hall of Fame induction. Though, man, I was really proud to
Appreciate it, man.
see your stuff on social media. I was proud when I first heard about it.
You
Definitely
were,
deserve
I think you were one of the first people I told. I think I sent you a message on Facebook before it came out. So because I know how much you supported me throughout the process. So
man,
always a lot of respect for you. Always a ton of respect for you, man.
yeah, he's a great guy.
Super guy.
I almost beat him in Bible school, but you know, him and my sister, they just kind of pushed the ante up a little bit, and I was number 16. But anyway, you can follow me on Facebook at She Say Sports, on Instagram She Say Sports 23, and please subscribe to our YouTube page She Say Sports. Well, that's our show for today. Until next time, this is Sonia and Rod with Legends of the Sipp and Savante. She Say Sports. Peace.